I'm Sergeant First Class Lee. I am a licensed practical nurse in the United States Army, of course. And my day-to-day when I'm back, I work for the 44th Med Brigade, the 28th Cache. I am the clinical NCOIC for the 28th Caches. So that's what I do on my day-to-day. But when I'm working in the hospital, I work in the ICU. MEDREX 19-5 is a collaboration between the United States Army and the Rwandan Military Hospital, the Rwandan Defense Forces. We come in, we share our best practices with them. They share their best practices with us. Just collaborate on all things medical, logistical, maintenance. Just come together and they teach us things, we teach them things. Working with the Rwandans is like exciting. It is different. They have ways of doing things that is totally different than the way that we do it. I appreciate how they can use what they have and make it work. And they don't complain about it. So it is great. I love it. I think this experience here is very beneficial to me because I know that I'm not going to have all the equipment that I have back home in the hospital or even in the cache in our field hospital. I'm not going to have all that equipment. So being able to see how they make it work without the sophisticated equipment, without the basic gloves, maybe alcohol pads, I'm just able, it just gives me ideas, helps me to think outside the box. Some of the things that are beneficial to me, the examples are them using gloves for tourniquets. They don't have the tourniquet when they do the actual IVs. So they use just the glove to tie off the arm and to occlude the veins. So that right there will help me think outside the box. I'm not scrambling around for my tourniquet when I can just pull out the glove and use it. So that's very beneficial. The biggest takeaways that I have is learning how to communicate with them when I don't speak their language and some of them don't speak English. I can't really understand some of the things that they say, but they do take the time to explain it in terms that I can. Is being able to collaborate outside of my box. So that's one of the biggest takeaways. The appreciation of being in a different country and being welcomed. They have welcomed us from the moment we hit the ground. So that is big for me. Being able to work in the ICU, and it's totally different than the ICU at home, and being able to practice some of the things that I am not able to practice back home, that I wouldn't, the cases that I would normally not see back in the United States, I'm able to work on those cases here. Oh my goodness, back to the basics. I say that every day at home, but back to the basics here, that's a real thing. Blood pressure, for example. We had to take a manual blood pressure. That is definitely back to the basics for us. Taking a temperature. So I'm used to just going and getting the little electrical machine, sticking it in your mouth, temperature. No, have to get the thermometer, wand it out, put it underneath your arm, and wait for the mercury to rise. So it's a lot of things we do electronically that they do manually. I've worked in several different departments since I've been here, the ER, the ICU, I've went in the OR, and everybody remembers my name, and I'm bad at names. And so they always remember, and I'm like, Evette, and they're like, hi, Evette. So it's just, when I come back, I haven't been in that area for 2 days, and I come back and they're like, hi, Evette, where you been? And I'm like, I was in the ICU. Oh, you left me. I'm like, no, I didn't leave you, I'm back. So that makes me feel good. It really does. When I recognize them, they recognize me, I appreciate them, they appreciate me. That's an overwhelming feeling. I think the case that stood out to me the most, because I got to do the most, I got to do something that I don't normally do, was when I was working in the OB/GYN OR. I got to scrub in as a surgical tech, and that's a huge thing for a nurse, a licensed nurse who normally works in the ICU. I got to scrub in, and the surgical tech that was there, she put me right in the middle of everything. I started the catheter. I passed the instruments. It was huge. I was right there in the middle, and that was huge for me, and that was my second day here. So that meant a lot to me. as soon as we walk through the door, the trust is there. My overall experience, phenomenal. I am overwhelmed with everything. I've always wanted to come to Africa, and now I'm in Africa practicing what I love. Is an overwhelming experience. I am so grateful that I had this opportunity, and I hope I get many more. I think the biggest thing that I'm going to tell them about the Rwandans is that they're very gracious, they're very accommodating, they are very welcoming. Everybody that I've talked to, I had a conversation today in the ICU with one of the medical nurses, the medical students, and he was like, we really love that you guys are here. He asked me why was we here when we had so much technology in the United States. Our skill set was greater than theirs. What is it that we're learning from them? And I told him that you do things that we don't do. You see cases that we don't see, and that's amazing, and you make it work. Working with the families, working with the Rwandans, just every day is something new. It's exciting. And every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm in Africa. I get to go to work at the Rwandan hospital, and I get to work on the Rwandans, and I get to do something new. I know I'm going to do something great today. So I don't know, everything here, everything about this trip has been close to my heart.